In about 10 minutes time. Those of you who are already queued up already will be coming back to do some more tracks a bit later. We are right there, sort of the talents. And we're going to now kick off our second session with a look at, I haven't made this, but this is going to be a trailer for the next series of Doctor Who. Not the Holly series, but season 15 done in the modern day style. So this will cover a lot of bases. Oh God.
Someone coming. Can you hear it? Someone coming. Your discovery could be one of the most important milestones in human development. As always, we have to. We still have no teeth. I need help. What is it?
I think it's a Pandara.
Is it alive?
Yes. It grows and exists by death.
Hello.
Where are we going, Doctor?
Into the land of dreams and fantasy, Leela. Magnificent.
The Legions got into the lighthouse. Now we must fight for our lives.
The president is to be shot on sight.
Reason dictates the Doctor is a traitor. Never! Reason dictates. Reason is a liar.
Within 10 seconds, everyone in the city will be dead.
I do like to think that the kids of 1977 had their scene after probably wet their pants at this point.
You didn't put that together. Did you put that together in the room? No.
Wonders of YouTube for that one. Somebody has done it every single series of Doctor Who. I'm not too bad. There's one there, but it's excitement of the new series.
Yeah, it's clever.
And we're going to have a look at more quotes now. Of course, one of the first stories of that season was Horror Fan Rock. We've got a little quote here from Paddy Russell. Very early shots of Paddy directing as well. And she says that you went through hell on Fan Rock and were a very good actress. Fortunately, you're tough. You found it excellent to work with. And here you've got a female director in quite a male environment, and you're not in London. Production difficulties. You're up at Pebble Mill in Birmingham.
Yes.
Where it's all going
I think it was the turning point really for Tom and I, because we had one scene where I'm waiting at the top of the lighthouse, and he creeps up the stairs, and the audience doesn't know if it's the Doctor or not. So close up on me, walk across, open the door, phew, it's the Doctor, and then they cut to him. But what he was doing was coming up the stairs and bursting in, so that close up on me walking across was being cut, and I, for the first time ever, I went, sorry, stop the take, which you should never do. It's not what we rehearsed. So we went right back to begin, did it again, and he did the same thing again. And I went, sorry, it's not what we rehearsed. And I just got the bit between my teeth, and I thought, I'm going to get that close up, I'm going to do it. And actually it wasn't good for the story, it wasn't just my ego, although that obviously is part of it. Anyway, the third time he waited. And I said to him afterwards, I'm sorry, but I care about the programme. And he went, that's all right, love. And I think that was a bit of a turning point where I just let no more. I'm not putting up with it anymore.
I think it was quite a fraud production anyway.
Was fraud, yeah.
Moving out of London for one story.
Yeah, but it's, sometimes that can really work well. Towns we all went on location. And we just, as I said earlier, we had a very nice time. So sometimes it can work to your advantage, but sometimes not.
course, we have K9, who we saw there, being very tantalising in that trailer. We're going to talk about him in another moment. But one of the co-stars in K9's first story, Invisible Enemy, is much missed Michael Sheeran as well, who had done quite a few Doctor Who's since, during, before, after. And he said whenever he's been asked what his favourite bit of Doctor Who is, it's always the fight scene for yourself. Quote, "What a doll."
What a doll. Yeah. Did you see the doll?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because here we have a little advert for it.
On outer space, a faint target may
It's a real bad hair day.
I love the way that Tom snapped off and left you to face that one.
My mum put it on top of the Christmas tree instead of the fairy. I never saw it again.
Well, at least you get to face the Daleks in some respect there.
Yes, having never met them. Only on audio.
Of course, in an alternate universe, you got the role as Purdy in the New Avengers, and that would have been your doll.
Oh, I think I win. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Look at that frog.
I know it was a different era, but they didn't exactly specialise in toys back then. Happily, your more current action figure is terrific.
I did a 4.5-hour photo shoot for that doll. You know, they took every single possible angle of the boat. And
What, the Dennis Fisher one?
yeah.
Right.
Have you seen the recent?
Get back.
Have you seen the recent ones? They've made 5 smaller figures.
Character options ones, yeah.
Yes. And I think I look like Janet Dibley in those. You know Janet, she's a fantastic actress. She's touring in Jackie, the musical at the moment. Being brilliant, I hear. I think I look like that too. They're worth quite a bit. Nigel Fairs, my darling best friend in all the entire world, will be doing the eulogy at my funeral. I'm sounding like Tom Baker now. And he said, of course, she's worth more in the box.
Oh boy. Well, we have K9, of course. Different kind of box. We've got a lot of K9 fans here. This is a shot from the Sunmaker, of course, and suddenly there's a new companion on the scene, and it's animatronic, but it talks, but it's also on all fours in the rehearsal room as well.
Yeah, darling John, he said it's the only voiceover he's done where he's had to put in for a dry cleaning bill afterwards because he ruined his trousers running around on all fours. He was so game, he was so... Now when they use him, he goes into the studio and does it all on afterwards. He doesn't become part of the team. But what he did was completely ease the atmosphere in the rehearsal rooms. Huge friends with both Tom and I. And he was only going to come in for one story, but the producers thought, maybe 2, and the producers thought he was so, such a lovely influence as a team player in the rehearsal room. And well, the rest is history, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's still ongoing, as we spoke about earlier on. 40 years of K9 next year.
Yeah.
As well.
And also, I had a dog at the time called Bosie, but they didn't know. I didn't get K9, the K9. I didn't get it till about 10 episodes after he started. Duh. And anyway, because nobody knew, all the security people didn't know that K9 was a robot dog, so I got my dog into the rehearsal room. It's great. And I don't think I was going, he's playing K9.
It's fine.
Yeah, until it was on air, and then I wasn't allowed anymore.
Did it change the dynamic a little bit in terms of, there's a third person now that's got screen time, or a third thing, the plot line's now divided into 3? Did you feel the companions were...
I was far more aware of the general atmosphere rather than the kind of... I never thought for a second that my screen time was being jeopardised at all. Maybe it was, with hindsight, but I was just having a nicer time. Yeah.
And of course, he wasn't the most reliable on set either, bless him.
What?
K9.
Wetting himself.
Ball bearings everywhere.
Well, we occasionally they'd go, quick, quick, we've got to escape, and then they, you know, like the Daleks could go upstairs back in the day, all that. And so they cut to Tom and I going, you know, presumably looking at K9. In fact, what we were looking at were two burly stagehands rushing him to where he should have got to, and it would have taken him half an hour to get there.
Crashing into the set on
Yes,
the way.
yeah, I know.
All those ball bearings, bless. Well, K9, of course, goes on to be inordinately popular and is due to his own feature film, Technology is the Future, as well, courtesy of his co-creator Bob Baker.
Are they using John's voice?
They're hoping to.
Good.
They're hoping to.
Good, he so deserves that, yeah.
And of course, he's come back, as you said, your K9, Mr. Heather.
My K9. Just saying.
I'm keeping out of that one. It was around about this time as well in real life, if you like, the first Doctor Who convention happened.
Still got that, Joe?
Appreciation Society. In Battersea, I think it was, and I managed to find a few pictures of that first one. And of course, Doctor Who conventions, or I sat here effectively in one now, have gone on to become a massive thing.
It's my pension. Seriously. And so I'm going to New York and LA and Chicago, you know, within the next 10 months. All on Miami.
What was that you were saying about becoming your agent?
So yeah, really, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
I know is there anything about the first one you can remember at all? Really
Well, I did a lot of listening. I can remember. I can also remember being fed a lot of jelly babies. I haven't learned to go, oh lovely, thank you, I'll put that by later, because these kids would give you a jelly baby and then wait for you to eat it. Jelly babies out by the end of the day.
On the ceiling with all sugar.
Yes, yeah.
I suppose with Tom and John there as well, and hordes of people, I hear it was quite packed.
It was packed, yes, yeah.
Tremendous. 40 years since that one next year as well.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't long late. And then, almost as quickly as it all starts, it's almost all over, because you make the decision to leave Doctor Who,
Yeah.
and you've got other commitments on the stage.
Yeah.
And let's just have a little look at the last scene from The Invasion of Time, both you and the original K9.
I'm staying.
Stay here. Why? I see. I hope. Yes, I'm sure you do. Come, K9.
Negative. I remain.
Here.
Affirmative.
Why?
To look after the mistress.
Doctor,
Yes.
I will miss you.
I see two sides. Where do we go now?
Somewhere else. Will you be lonely, K9?
Insufficient data. Mistress.
Louise Jamieson in The Invasion of Time.
The latest Doctor Who released a pardon about it. Gallifrey say threatening noises from the programme's producers about writing out the Doctor's mate, Leela.
said Peter Dunn on the 12th of March 1978.
Fathers would elbow the lost inside each Saturday evening to gaze upon the fallen naked lady and invite to join the latest protest movement. So, save our
It's not true.
That was in the papers, yeah? That was in the papers as a movement to try and stop you leaving, as it were.
Yeah.
Because it seems like at the time they didn't quite believe that was it for you. That somehow he'd come back and get you and K9 next year and carry on going through time and space.
I don't think Andrew would have lasted too long, do you?
Sadly not, no. I mean, poor Chris Chancellor, he's very good, but
Yeah.
Andrew's a bit of a drip, isn't he?
Well, there was no building up to it, was there? There was no...
No, and
We didn't care about him enough in the storyline.
that's something he said, that you might expect more of an intimate exchange. As it was very slight.
Yeah.
So the two of you worked together to try and build something, but the material just
I
wasn't
would have loved for her to, I don't know, die saving his life, and then I believe this story has been done in a future one, but you know, he could somehow go back and alter history, which I know he's not supposed to do, but he would have had to have wiped her memory or something as a result of it. Do you know what I mean? Something very heroic from both of them. It seems quite a wimpy. It was a wimpy exit, wasn't it?
Well, Graham Williams says he hated your departure as well, he produced at the time. He said, oh, go on, companions aren't married off often, and like an idiot, he says he caved in. It's a direct quote from him, so...
Oh, I didn't realise that. He came up to me literally the night before we shot that scene. And said, you know, we can rewrite it so easily, you can just run into the TARDIS and press the button and travel on. We really don't have to recast you, please stay. I mean, it's very flattering and kind of him, but, you know, by then I was signed to do Portia, and I'd actually been offered a heart-to-heart in America, which I didn't take, you know, the ones that got away, because I agreed to do this major Shakespeare role, so, yeah.
Which, of course, it is your first love, Shakespeare,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it is.
That was a very nice part to have.
Very nice.
Exit for Doctor Who,
Yeah.
of course. But you come back to Doctor Who, and we'll come back to that a little bit later, carry the big finish, because there's a few other roles that you do take on that proved to be groundbreaking and very memorable, one of which, of course, is in the prison drama Tenko.
Yay.
Any Tenko fans here?
Yeah.
Those of you who are not cheering, you need to watch it. It's a terrific program.
Dear old Bert, we lost yet another to add to the list of celebrities that have gone this year.
One of Bert's finest roles, I think. A very dignified
He thought he died and gone to heaven when we did that. He's walking into all those women every day. He just used to sit in the corner smiling, a bit like you lot. He used to sit in the corner smiling. Had a great time. He was a bit soft on Steph, Stephanie Beecham.
Was he?
Yeah, just a little bit. Just had a little crush on him.
And it's fantastic working with Anne Bell, who of course plays Marion Jefferson.
Yeah, and what a modest, brilliant actress Anne Bell is. She went over to LA and won Best Performance in a Foreign Show, or in a foreign series. Big major award, and I only found out by accident. She didn't tell any of us. She just went over and got it and came back again. And
It's a fantastic actress.
yeah,
Fantastic leading lady. Well,
Yeah.
you're all leading ladies in it, but I suppose as the figurehead of the camp, she has a lot of the driving force.
yeah, she was like the kind of spine of it, wasn't
Yes,
she? Yeah.
yes. And you all seem to have bonded very well.
And we still are family, you know. There's I saw Joe last week. I'm seeing Ronnie in a couple of weeks. Steph Cole I spoke to on the phone 2 weeks ago. I mean, we just roll on really. Births, marriages, deaths. we all wheel out first nights with her. It really did become a second family.
I'm not sure that producer Ken Riddington knew what he'd quite taken on, did he?
No. Have you heard, forgive me if you've heard this before, but he called all us actresses to the corner of the room. We'd only just started rehearsals, and he said, could we please go home, and given this is 1981, okay, 5 years after the Equal Rights Bill, could we please all go home and ask permission of our boyfriends, lovers, husbands to grow the hair in our armpits and on our legs, because of course there wouldn't be a razor blade available in a prisoner of war camp. as if we hadn't started to do that already. You know, we've done our homework. Then there's this silence when Jean Crowley went, "Would you like a written letter of consent?" And then, when we got to filming, she got the makeup ladies to make up 2 little wigs with hair about this long. She put it was OB unit, so she put the camera on. She says, "Is this long enough for you, Cam?"
But your body, even Ken got to grips with, and there was a lot of the writers, Warner and John Hyam, and also Paul Weebler, and everything all suddenly came together. Tenko in theory shouldn't have worked, everything seemed to be against it, but it really did capture the nation's imagination.
Yeah, it was nearly 17 million viewing at its height. And I only found out that just last year that, it's never been repeated on terrestrial television. We kicked off UK Gold for a pittance. They said, "Don't worry, when it takes off, we'll reimburse you properly." And on I'm so old, I'm on the History Channel now. But apparently the Japanese government really came down heavy on our government, who in turn came down heavy on the BBC, for it not to be repeated.
I did not realise.
I know, it was an article in the Telegraph last year.
I can see why, but it's an important chapter in history to be told.
Yep, and factually, they really did their research. Every single one of those storylines is based in truth. It's based on a story that they heard from a survivor.
Well, we're going to have a look at a little bit of a storyline involving Stephen Beecham's character, who is, well, not very well, shall I say.
It's glamorous job.
Well, I feel how fussy she was about that sort of thing, but with incontinence as well as the other sort of fighting a losing battle.
You just can't do something for her.
I wouldn't if I had the wherewithal. Doing everything we humanly can.
Don't mean that. You've got an end to it. Finish the job the next cocktail.
Any luck, it should be gone much longer now.
What?
God willing, she'll be gone soon.
I thought you didn't believe in God. You could do something for her. Put a pillow over her face or something.
For heaven's sake.
Would you think that's worse than what she's going from now?
Steph was just marvellous in that, wasn't she? Serious, yeah.
Serious, it's not afraid to shy away from quite dark storylines and very dark places. Terrific series. Sadly, of course, you couldn't return for the 3rd series.
Having babies, weren't I? They wrote round, I got pregnant on them twice, they wrote round the first one, and then the second one they couldn't accommodate it because of the filming schedule, unfortunately. The UK wasn't too happy about that, I have to say. But we'd shot all the outside scenes. We were all on these diets and we all agreed not to put on weight and special meals. They weighed us in every morning, put our weight on a chart, a great big chart on the wall. And so I was 32 around my bust when we filmed all the outside scenes. Well, then I got pregnant. Almost overnight, my breasts went 32 to 39. So I was and of course we'd done all the outside bits, so I was walking through doors, the continuity-wise, and Stephanie Beecham said to me, "The things you'll do for a close-up." I had to keep my breasts away from the camera.
I'll go back and watch those. Of course, another 80s stalwart that you were in was Bergerac.
Oh, got to kiss John Nettles for 4 years. That was a tough job.
The longest lasting of Bergerac's girlfriends.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
There was, I suppose, was Deborah Grant, who was popping in and out as his ex-wife,
Yes.
but you were the longest consecutive one. You know, it had its ups and downs. I'm going to play a little clip of which we'll chat as well. perhaps one of the high points of Jim and Susan Young, of course, your character, the estate agent's relationship, and the beautiful idyllic setting of Jersey as well.
They let me choose this music. They said, what romantic music would you like over the top? If I had to do Desert Islanders. Yeah, the track.
Bless you, it's about one time things worked out well for him.
Try that before.
Poor old Susan makes a memorable exit from Bergerac as well.
Well, I had actually left, and then they rang me out and said, "Do you mind dying?" I went, "No, I think."
And wash
So
up
I
on
ended
the
up,
shore.
yes, that wasn't me, that was my dog. Ended up in a black plastic bag,
Yeah, a very memorable exit for one of Jim McDonald then, doesn't it? One of Jim Bergerac's girlfriends.
yeah, murdered.
Murdered. It sends him off the rails and actually quits the police force afterwards and goes to France, so...
And gets another woman.
Quite quickly, yeah. But we're going to go from Jersey back to the mainland to Walford now. Now I have to say, I don't have a clip of this because the miserable gets the BBC seem to take down any EastEnders clip that go up, so unfortunately... Oh! But on the main monitors over here... Thank you. We have Dimensions in Time, the Walford crossover mash. What exactly happened in that?
Was that the...
Children. Oh, but you did get to Walford now, and that was at the Greenwich Observatory you were there, wasn't it? With Sylvester.
With Syl, and Syl arrived late and hungover because he'd had a first night the night before. And before that, both Peter and Colin, I think, had gone, "Oh, I can't do this," lots of techno speak, "I can't do this." "Oh, Syl will do that, Syl will do that." And he got, as he arrived, they went, "We've got more dialogue for you, Syl." And just handed it to him. God, it was, I absolutely did not understand it. Did you?
No, I don't think any of us did either. It was fun to watch.
It wasn't at all. Hey.
Well, yeah, EastEnders Main. It is quite hypnotic to watch. I think, yeah, rather than nice to watch, it is hypnotic to watch. Poor Kate O'Mara.
Is that Kate?
She was really giving her all in that one.
So beautiful.
But on EastEnders, you of course were the matriarch of this.
Rosa DiMarco.
The DiMarcos, and you've got your on-screen sons there as well.
Yeah, they were worth going into work for.
And Barbara Winter, apparently, the first day said, "You're going to love it here, we're all family."
Yeah. Yeah. She and, her name's Wendy. Didn't talk to each other. That was quite funny. They weren't cross with each other. They didn't have an argument or anything. They just pretended the other one wasn't in the room. It was weird. But apart from that, I think everyone got on really, really well.
A bit awkward when you've got two of the big characters there facing off, but and so
she said, Wendy, one day, she said the directors on EastEnders are either old hands that are slightly bored with it all, or sweet young things that are desperate to make it look like the next best movie. So when you see tracks being laid down in the morning, you just think, "Oh, this is a sweet young thing," because you're going to spend an hour or more on that opening tracking shot of the market, and it's all going to look very beautiful. But actually, in real life, what's happening at home is going, "It started, put the kettle on, started." Nobody watches that bit. And when you get to all your heavy emotional cliffhanger scenes, you've only got 5 minutes to record them because all the time's been taken up in the morning with tracks and arty-farty shots.
Whipple shocked.
Yeah.
There we go.
And then there was the day Wendy had a sweet young director, and he said, "Now what I'd like you to do is while you're while you're delivering that speech, can you pick up that pile of washing and unload it and put it?" And she went, "Listen, I can walk or I can talk, but I'm not doing both." And the poor thing caved in and he said, "Well, just talk then, sit down and talk."
That's fine, we'll do that.
I can walk or I can talk.
Would you still be there, do you think? Yeah.
Well, in the November before I left, the then producer, Matthew, can't remember his name, said, would I be prepared to stay for 5 years? And could they make the DeMarcos the linchpin of the series, and can we take over the Vic? And I went, yeah, lovely. Kids going through uni, just perfect for me at the minute. My kids, not those kids. By the February, there was a new producer, and I was told I would be out in 10 weeks. It was just weird, and with a new broom, there's always changes. A producer comes in, and inevitably, some people go and some stay. That's when some new people are brought in. That's what happens. But the way it was done was absolutely appalling. I don't know what they told the press before they told me. It was just a very unpleasant time. I don't quite know why that happened like that.
It's a shame.
It is a shame.
A lot have been done to build up the DeMarcos as a plan in the show.
We just bedded in, 2 years we've done, and they say that's when your storyline really starts to happen.
Great missed opportunity to have yourself at the helm of the Vic. That would have been very interesting.
I think one of the reasons I left, they were going to do a storyline where my daughter was going to get pregnant by a black man and I was going to be a racist grandmother to be. I was going to be very upset about having a black grandchild. And in real life, my eldest boy is mixed race, or dual heritage, or whatever the politically correct way of saying it is now, and still at school. And there's a thing about being famous when you're in a soap, the public really believe you are that person. You're in your living room 4 times. There's no way I could play a racist on television at that time in my life. It just couldn't happen. And it wasn't the part that I accepted. Sometimes they change your character as you go. And I just went into the producer and said, I can't, I can't do this storyline. And he said, but it hasn't been written yet. So I said, well, can we just nip it in the bud then? Can we, come up with something else? And they did indeed. That storyline didn't happen. They honoured that, but the next thing I knew, I wasn't there anymore.
Shame, great shame.
Yeah.
And of course, Rosa suffers the indignity of an off-screen heart attack as well.
Off screen, yes.
Off screen.
Yes, didn't even let me have a death scene.
Joined Fraser Hines in that stable as Joe Sugden died off screen, never died.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
In a car crash that time.
Oh.
A great shame. But a triumphant return to Doctor Who. Now, this isn't every single one. This is just some of the Doctor Who releases, let alone Gallifrey, Omega Factor, Survivors, Tomorrow People, The Pulling Faces, Free Drama Showcase, all the ranges.
Surely you didn't look at the notes then.
There's an autocue in the scene. Obviously you do love working with Big Finish.
I love them. I love those boys. They all care. It's a bit like Doctor Who is now. It's run by fans, basically. It's run by people who really care about the programme and great work ethic. Fabulous lunches. It's a bit really, and they're nurturing my writing. I feel like I'm being paid to learn. They're desperate for women writers, so much so that I'm sure I've taken jobs away from men who are more capable of writing than I am. But I'm so grateful to them for allowing me to develop in that direction.
Well, just something I was going to ask you about, because the Survivors pieces that you've written especially have such a character and such a heart to them that they're very dark, but they're terrific. The Survivors range, I think, is one of the top things that Big Finish have done. Anybody heard the Survivors box sets?
Yeah.
They're not for kids, let's put it that way. They're really not for kids. And you have quite a tortured character in that.
Yeah.
They are.
They're my favourite thing to do, really. It's a bit like the Tenko of my career. I feel that it's a very important subject. For those of you that don't know, there's an apocalypse, there's a virus that wipes out 90% of the world's population. What do you do? What do you do without, if that really does happen? everything folds, everybody becomes visceral. You have your goodies and your baddies, your greedy people that want everything, and your others that are really working towards making a better future for ourselves. And there are parallels drawn with what's happening with us at the moment. I think it's politically, it's incredibly relevant.
It's always the best way as well to do series like this. It's thoroughly recommended if anybody hasn't heard it. Hopefully you've got more stories for that coming up as well.
I have, yeah. I have indeed.
And the Big Finish also brought back the Omega Factor, which was one thing we haven't talked about, which of course originally did in the late 1970s with James Hazeldean, has been brought back with John Dorney.
Yes, playing James Hazeldean's son in it. And John has been a member of Big Finish for the family for a very long time, writing and playing numerous roles, and even working as a taxi service when they're desperate to get people from the station to the studio. And David thought, this is what's so brilliant about them, David thought, it's absolutely time that he got his own series, and there it was, delivered. And he's done a fantastic job on it. And John's thrilled because it's one that he's not story edited, he doesn't script write, he just literally comes in as an actor, yeah. So he finds it very relaxing and wonderful to do.
It's marvellous to hear it back. It's wonderfully spooky on audio as well.
Yeah, it's one of the audios where you really you need the sound design. So it's like another character in the piece, the sound design. Yeah.
At least Mary Whitehouse won't complain this time.
We used to rub our hands in glee when Mary Whitehouse complained because it meant another 2 million on the viewing figures.
Love it. And I mean, you're up to a few things. Obviously, you're still on tour with Mousetrap for a bit longer. Don't forget, tickets on sale for the Royal Opera House this afternoon, 2 p.m. matinee. But you've also got some children's books as well.
Yes, this is a children's story I've written, available download on my website. There's the plug. Doing the Mousetrap. Immediately after the Mousetrap, I'm going to do a fringe show in London called Diva Drag. That's at the Hope and Anchor in Upper Street, Islington. And then I'm going to do, and this is a true story, I'm doing a musical called Rumpy Pumpy the Musical. I can't sing, so goodness knows what. I'm right out my comfort zone. Anyway, it's about a women's institute, a couple of women who are fighting to legalise prostitution, to get the prostitutes to be running their own business, to get regular health checks, get them VAT registered, to get the whole thing really above board and registered as a profession. And these two women went round the world looking at brothels, trying to find the best brothel that they could, so that they could come back with a plan for the government to go, this is what brothels should be like. And it's their story, and it's ongoing. They're still fighting very hard and trying to get the whole of the Women's Institute movement behind them, because Women's Institute shouldn't just be for white, upper class, middle class women. It should encompass all women, 52% of our population.
All ages.
All creeds, colours, religions. Yeah. It's really interesting, and it's in development for a film as well, so cross your fingers.
Oh, I think that might be the return to the screen.
It might be. It might be.
Oh, well, we've only had time really to touch on mere skim of your career, because you've done so many different things.
Yeah, I've been around a long time.
Well, we can repeat this all the way back from the start and have so many different stories. But thank you very much for joining us here in Manchester.
Thanks for being so brilliant.
Oh, thank you as well. This was super. I hope everyone's enjoyed it here. Shortly. Obviously, Louise won't be here all afternoon. We'll be needing to move through the signings so we can make sure that you get to the Mousetrap and everyone here gets their tickets for it as well. All it remains for me to say is a huge thank you to the team here at FAB Cafe, especially those who stayed late last night to help set everything up, and those who've come in this morning to accommodate us as well. Coming up next is the Starburst International Film Festival, the inaugural one. For anyone who doesn't know, it's here in Manchester at the Manchester Met Student Union on the bank holiday weekend in August. Confirmed guests include John Glenn, Toby Whithouse, Virginia Hay, Nicky Henson, Graham Harper, many more still to be confirmed. Early bird tickets are still just on sale, and it is set to be a really good event now.
And I have to say, Toby Whithouse is absolutely fantastic. He came and did a fundraiser for me for Domestic Abuse Volunteer Support Service, and just gave his fees straight back, and was, full of wonderful stories. So don't miss him. He's brilliant.
Worth the entry price alone, I would say. Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. No, he's set to be quite a good guest as well, with all the stories about being human and Doctor Who that he can tell, and what he's into now as well. But that's coming up next, and unfortunately from me, ladies and gentlemen, that's all, folks. So hopefully.
Fab, I said. Perhaps you'll be able to come in person next time.
I did.